My sister, my sister, my sister. What are you going through today? What it seems like such a big mountain that you feel like, oh my goodness, I can't deal with this. Don't let me scare you, but do you have AIDS? Are you HIV positive? Are you addicted to something? Nobody knows, but you're addicted. Mental health issues, any of those things? Well, I've got a book for you, Dying to Live by Dr. Anjelahmoss. This book embraces and empowers women that are going through these three things. One thing I like about this book, it narrows it down to these three things: HIV positive, substance abuse, and mental illness. If you've got issues with either three of these, I recommend this book. And I recommend it even to learn from, because what is the saying? I was today years old when I found out a lot of things in this book. Did you know that half the people in the United States that have HIV are in the South? They live in the South. Half of the people that have HIV live in the South. I also learned that mental illness is not a personal weakness. It's not a personal weakness. I knew that basically, but I found out it's more biological, and has to do with your environment and your biological aspects. There's biological aspects of it. So this book is about women, true stories. Let me tell you something. True stories in here about women that are being HIV positive. They're dealing with substance abuse, or they're dealing with mental illness. And Dr. Moss, the whole purpose of this book is to let them know that there's hope for them and to get some healing. There's healing out there for them. They can make it through. You know, one of the things that HIV positive people deal with is not being able to be in relationships. Everything is so hush hush, and a lot of them, of course, they keep it secret. But there's some that she has spoken with that are willing to tell their story. There are women in here. There's a story of one woman who she fell in love with a man that was HIV positive. And she decided, hey, I love him. We're in a beautiful relationship. I'm not going to let this disease stop us from keeping our relationship, for building a life with this man. And she accepted him. Then there's a story of a man who accepted a woman that she was beautiful. She had children, but she had contracted AIDS, HIV, and he accepted her. He still loved her. There's still relationships and love that people that are HIV positive can have. Do you know now that it's just like any other disease that you can have and live with? It's not a death sentence the way it used to be. So you can live for years and years and years. And there's even ways where it's not even detected in your system. So she explains all this in her book. She has counseled many women with HIV, counseled many women that have struggled with substance abuse. And let me tell you, the stories that she brings in here, this is what just kept me reading and reading these true stories. And let me tell you something. She mentions a lot of cities in North Carolina. She's formerly from North Carolina, and you'll hear Raleigh mentioned. You'll hear New Bern Avenue mentioned. You're gonna hear Fayetteville State, Apex, Hampton University. All of these cities that you know of, Rocky Mount, all of these stories of women in here that are from these areas or have been in these areas, gone to school in these areas, Chapel Hill, Carolina. They're all places and names that you're going to be very familiar with. She mentioned a street that is not far from my house. So it's all very interesting. My goodness, chapter 7 alone. Chapter 7 alone about a sister she's addicted and we're not talking about 2 years of addiction. We're talking about a long-term, several years of a roller coaster ride, hiding, dodging, trying to fake the funk, trying to live a dual life. Meanwhile, she's hooked on cocaine. She's hooked on crack. She gets off and she's back on, but she got out of there. She overcame. That story to me was so riveting. Let me tell you something. Tubi didn't have nothing Doesn't have nothing on this book right here. Tubi, Netflix, no movie that you've seen has nothing on these chapters in here. You'll think you're reading a Tubi movie or something. The chapters in here about the women that have gone through so many things and came out the other side, dying to live. Dying to live. One interesting chapter she mentioned was she interviewed several pastors to ask them, why they had not addressed, or why did they think that pastors don't address, these types of things in church, where, you have a body of folks there that are probably going through these three things. Chances are there's a little, pocket of people that are going through these things. And the more and more time goes on, more and more people are running into these issues, but they're not addressed across the pulpit. So she asked these pastors, their names are in here, the pastors that she's asked, and they're giving their responses as to why they have not, or it just doesn't, it hasn't been presented to the body of Christ. So they touch on that. It's just, to me, it was a page turner. It's not something sad. I know when you hear HIV, I want to hear about it. And that's the way it's been. It's been like, I don't want to have to I don't deal with that. I don't want to have to hear about it, da, 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 da. But trust me, someone who's contracted it. Someone that knows someone. Someone that's addicted to drugs. It could be someone in your family. It could be someone, someone at work, someone you suspect is addicted, someone that has mental illness. And what I love about this also, she tells a couple of stories about young girls that are having mental issues and what's caused their mental issues. What's caused it? And what causes them to act out in the ways they're acting out. You may know a young girl that she's decided she's just going to be promiscuous, or she's going to leave home. She's just going to make money the best way she can. There's a reason for that. There's a reason for it. They just pop up out of the sky. There's a reason. Oh God, there's a reason for that. She addresses that in this book. There is hope. If you know someone you need to get this book to, get it to them. Dr. Anjelahmoss, Dr. Angela Thorpe-Moss. You can reach out and go to her website on dranjelahmoss.com. That's the spelling of her name there. This is riveting. It's riveting. It's not sad. Sure, there's some struggling in there, but it's real. That's what lets you know it's real. These are real struggles. And she's concentrated on women here, and just hearing about the different stories that are true and real. In the cities, if you're in North Carolina, in the cities that you know about, even if you're not in North Carolina, I don't care what state you're in listening to this, you know someone that's struggled with HIV, substance abuse, or mental illness, and you may be confused yourself. What's happened to them? And maybe it's caused you to be just a tad bit judgmental. Just a tad, maybe not a lot. Maybe you've seen someone on the street, walking the streets, and what in the world are they doing? There's a reason. But no, they are dying to live. They are dying to live. Thank you. Again, joy to the world.